Hi, everybody, and welcome to A Course in Miracles and More. Yeah, so that's the new title from 2023 onwards, A Course in Miracles and More. Hi, JC and Susan. Good to see you because you know what? I love bringing in stories and other things into the Course, and we're not following along sequentially. I mean, we're taking our time going through the book. And if you are starting, or if you've started the Course in Miracles as of January 1st, in Malaysia, then the date is the 15th today. Is it the 15th?
15th. Yeah.
15th. Yeah, so you would be on lesson 15. My thoughts are creating a meaningless world. And if you're not and you're just following along, well, that's good too. So I wanted to tell you a story which is so amazing from a Dr. Kenya, The Eagle's Gift, and I'll get to that in a moment. But first, an announcement. I will be doing Ascending Soul Astrology on Friday night, and we are going to be talking about the new moon because our new moon is upon us because we are entering into a lunar new year. I think it's the year of the rabbit. Is it, JC? Yeah, I think it's the year of the rabbit. So I thought, how perfect. We'll talk about the new moon and the dark goddess Lilith as I promised. So listen, I don't think all of your charts, for those of you that follow Ascending Soul Astrology, I'm not sure if your particular chart has Lilith in it. If you want Lilith, Jamie says let her know it's 30 ringgit for a renewed chart with Lilith and a few other new things in it that we'll be talking about. And you can contact her for that.
Or $10.
Or $10. So it's 30 ringgit or $10, and she will look that up. And because we will be talking about it. If you don't get a chance to do that this week, you can rewind the video and listen to it when you do know where your Lilith is. Okay, so I'm looking forward to that. Oh, there it is. Jamie put the glyph. This is the glyph of Lilith. And it's a good time to know about her because we have another opportunity to renew our contract with our soul as we begin the new lunar year in the year of the rabbit. So that's coming up next Friday night. But today we are continuing, we didn't finish it, there's always so much to say, with lesson 133. I will not value what is valueless. Okay, so before I get into that lesson, I wanted to share with you a story that I came upon by Dr. Kenya, which I thought was so amazing. You know, Dharma's amazing. Everybody contributes something. And this story just drives home the point of how creative our mind is, and but it's said in his way. So here it goes. The Eagle's Gift. In these pages, you will glimpse a magical reality and see the potential of a magical human mind. You will learn the magic and the power of a feel-good state that ancient shamans knew. They knew this well, these ancient shamans, and it taught them, this information was taught to them by a mysterious visitor that comes from the stars. Its practice was a way of life, and they brought its secret. This lost secret was revealed again. Although this story is fictional, it lives inside each of us as a forgotten memory of a simple truth, a sleeping memory that can be awakened by a story of power. Stories are great. The hero in the story goes on a vision quest and finds a legendary portal to a higher world. His adventure leads to the discovery of a mysterious lost tribe that long ago ascended to this higher dimension. As their seductive trials unfold through grand visions and out-of-body experiences, the simple but powerful philosophy is revealed to them through the secrets. When unlocked and allowed into consciousness, the secret has the power to transmute ordinary life into a playground of higher joy. Yay, I want to know what that's about. A playground of higher joy and discovery and a life full of awareness. This story is about a mixed breed. a half white man and half Indian, whose father didn't even allow him to relate to the Indians. One day, he wakes up and makes this little journey to the mountains, where he meets up with an Indian sage who starts teaching him some secrets of life. The sage says, we are going to have to change our whole reality. Listen to what he was taught. And it's all about the mind of the Creator, and that we have to create our own reality. We have been programmed to think a certain way, and we create our reality based on how we think. Now we have to open to a whole new reality. A powerful universal law has brought this book and its wisdom to your awareness. You too must now decide if you wish to proceed. The simple truth, like medicine, may be hard to swallow, but once you do, it restores you to harmony and health. To apply what you learn will not be easy. In fact, you might even struggle with the demon complexities of your mind, the ego mind. Possibly for days or months. Once you get this information, he tells this young Indian fellow, before you clear the slate of man-made beliefs and opinions, only then will you reclaim your power. You got to clean the slate before you can reclaim your power. Also, you must be ever more vigilant in thought. You will learn to control your thoughts by monitoring your emotions. But in the meantime, try to keep all thoughts on the positive side. If your mind strays to the negative, you feel the effects very quickly. Our energies are starting to manifest almost immediately. What we put out there before used to take months, maybe even years, to come back to us. And you lost all connection to what you put out there. But all of us are having almost immediate repercussions of what we put out there. If you put out negative, you're going to get it back. Understand that as an infant, you came to this world full of spirit, full of wonder and natural power. If not for our influences, you would have grown into a strong and powerful being. Can you imagine being told all this as a young guy going up the mountain meeting this Indian fellow? Anything you wanted could be yours. Anything you wanted to do, you could do. Just imagine limitless freedom. It is our birthright, you know. But unfortunately, because those who shaped our early minds were themselves limited by limiting beliefs, and they consciously and unconsciously passed on to us. This now, he says, is the first truth that I'm going to share with you. It is most important to know that belief makes things real, and it makes the reality you find yourself in. Belief is made from thought. There is nothing real that was not first born of thought. You limit yourself only by the beliefs that you accept only as truth. This applies to absolutely everything. If you don't think that you can have something or even do something, sure enough, it happens and you can't. He reached down for a twig and he drew two long parallel lines in the sand. He said, this is a river of everything. And he said, pointing, and through the mind of each person flows a river of energy and light. And this light is a creative force. And the light is always being shaped by the thoughts and beliefs in the mind. The river always flows, so man is always creating. Always, if his beliefs are limited, then so are his thoughts, and he keeps creating more of the same kind of stuff. Then he drew more squares in the river line drawing. These are limiting beliefs. Look how they restrict the flow like little dams in the river. The more of those you keep in your mind, the more limited your reality will be. So we call these limiting beliefs. The old man had a graphic way of teaching that was easy to relate to. I can see that the young man agreed to this, but he said, but how do you get rid of the negative beliefs? Ah, it's so simple, said the old man. But in fact, it's a little hard to accept. Remember, simple is not easy. It might take some work. Let me turn the question to you. How do you get rid of them? How do you get rid of your limiting beliefs? The young man was silent, and then he said, well, I remember some psychology from school. From what I recall, I guess the solution would be to think about it. And maybe then just talk about it with someone. And then ask someone for how they would dissolve the problem. And maybe that would apply to me. Do you think that would work? And the old man shook his head and said, this is the white man's way. In your society, it is accepted as truth, but no other than identifying the problem, it has little value. In other words, identifying the problem and talking about it has no value. And today our lesson is, I will not value what is valueless. In fact, at the level of awareness that most occupy, the more a problem is focused on, the worse it becomes. Whatever is focused on with intent, with intensity, you get more of the same. Only your head doctor makes progress. Try again, he said. This time, make it simple. I'll give you a hint. See that river flowing and see a busy beaver building a dam blockage where the river narrows. As the artist who creates this picture, you control every element, every detail in it. What you paint is what you create. So how do you get rid of the dam? Get rid of the beaver? In time, the dam would disappear in a way. No, you created the beaver and you made the dam yourself. So the beaver stays. Maybe you could divert his attention from the dam for a while, but beavers wouldn't be beavers. I'm sorry, but no, that is a temporary solution again. He said, the only thing I can think of is to paint a flowing river and wash the dam away. And the old man continues, here is the simple truth. This is how you do it. Just feel good. Just feel good. By finding ways to feel good as much as possible and in as many ways as possible, you increase the natural flow of the creative energy. And that floods the dam, taking away the negative beliefs. The old man saw the light of understanding dawning on the young man. And he continued saying, all beliefs have a core of emotion. This core of emotion is at the center, and all negative beliefs grow out of negative emotions, especially fear, guilt, and doubt. These are the three most limiting human emotions, and they cause human emotions of suffering and pain. The natural remedy is to feel joy, feel good. It raises the level of human vibration so high, the vibration, the frequency is just awesome, that it dissolves the very core of negative beliefs. We haven't learned to believe in our powers yet, but we will, because the spirits won't have it any other way. Everything that happens to you, everything you experience, is what you made all by yourself. No exception. Society seems to teach to the contrary, that you are almost powerless to control your life. No, society teaches you to be secure, not enjoy. It doesn't teach you to be joyous, it teaches you to be secure. Except for hard work and constant struggle, you have little hope of overcoming the tide of misfortune that besets most men. This is only a belief because it is accepted as truth by majority, and therefore it is experienced as reality. But the simple truth is the opposite. You have complete control over your life, and you have the free will to decide what to believe. Once you decide to think for yourself, to believe what you like, the magic of the universe fills your every choice. Do you know that most people give away their power? The features of the old man's face became troubled. So many just give away their first power, the power of choice. They give that power to others, to friends, to family, to their heroes, and to their gods. They let those others choose what is best for them without ever consulting their second power, which is their own feelings. How do you feel about that? What you feel comes from the soul, the inner being, and it's always knowing. It always knows which choices provide the better outcome. You will learn more of this later, but for now, just understand influence from other people takes away your personal power. It must be reclaimed by thinking for yourself and by believing what you feel. To take advice is fine, but only if it feels good to you. They continued climbing the mountain as the old man spoke. He said, "We are entering a portal between dimensions. It is a blend of each without being one or the other. You will see beyond the physical world, but within the portal, your sense will heighten. Consciousness focused easily, you soon discover how very powerful the human mind is. Whatever you focus on becomes distinct and clear, and you will see further. Hear better, you will also feel fully what you put your intention on. It is a place of mystery and magic where the mind rules all." Isn't that a great story? The mind rules all. So with that, I invite you to close your eyes because we're going to fill our mind with light. And so we close our eyes and we breathe in this love light. We let go of everything else. We breathe in that second breath of love light. And we exhale everything that is not of the light. We let it go. And we take that third breath, inhaling this beautiful love, this beautiful light, and exhaling everything else. And we think this thought: only what's valuable is real. And only love has value. Because love is life, and life is always giving. Love, life eternal, has value. Anything valueless doesn't exist. Like those beliefs that you hold that hold you back. Think this thought: I am not who I think I am. I am not the ego. Breathing in love light and breathing out, I am not the ego. Breathing in love light and breathing out, I am not the ego. And so when I identify with my higher self, I choose the mind that I share with God. And when I do that, I'm guaranteed to experience what is truly valuable. Feel your mind being flooded with light. See your mind being flooded with light because you are choosing the mind that you share with God. And as you do that, you're guaranteed to experience what is truly valuable. Seeing your mind flooded with light. You can even imagine your mind like a river flowing, and there's no dams, there's no blocks, there's nothing. There's just pure love light flowing, rushing, flowing and flowing. And imagine that this beautiful love light that fills your mind flows down like a rushing waterfall of pure bliss, and it fills your throat chakra, opening your throat chakra, that you are able to speak things of value. And this beautiful blue color of the throat chakra is so inviting, and it's pulsing. This omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent word of God through you, as you, around you. It's so wonderful. This beautiful river of love light that flows down from your crown, the violet, into the indigo at the third eye and into your throat. Beautiful turquoise. Wow, it flows down and it fills your heart chakra. Your heart chakra expands. It grows so huge, and it's almost like a massive lake, like an emerald green lake of calm, still waters. Where here you are identified with your higher self, so identified with your higher self, the mind of God that you share as the Christ in you. And it feels so wonderful. Feel a warmth at your heart chakra. And this beautiful emerald green lake, where you have really seriously let go of the thought system of the ego, which tells you you're a sinner. And it's filled with guilt and fear and, oh, it's just nasty. But you are filled now with this beautiful love light at the heart chakra, and it's dissolving everything that you might have been holding in your heart from the ego's thought system. This thought system of separation and fear. And you're opening your heart to receive more of this grace, more of this flowing waters, the living waters of spirit. And then this water, this living water, flows down into your solar plexus, where you are in alignment with the will of God. Not my will, God's will. God's will is to extend only what is of value. Life eternal, life-giving words, life-giving thoughts. I share that. I am that. And you can feel your solar plexus with all its nerve ganglia relax. It's filling with this beautiful water. It kind of turns golden, the color of a solar plexus. You can imagine in your solar plexus a beautiful golden lake, because the sun is reflecting off the lake. And it's so peaceful and so wonderful, because you realize there's really no choice to be made, because you are one with the mind of God. And as that, you follow with faith and trust in God's plan for your life. It's effortless, just moving as a vehicle of grace, for grace. Your body is a moving temple, and you are the living will of God. I am that I am. So wonderful. And these beautiful waters of the living spirit flow down into your sacral chakra. And there's an orangish tinge to the water, because the sun is beginning to set, and the beautiful sun, which is orange at the end of our day, reflects off the water of your sacral chakra. And you just feel the creative flow of God's infinite wisdom and creativity, spontaneity, all the goodness that life eternal offers you. You are in the flow. You are resting in this peaceful, peaceful calm at the level of the sacral chakra. And the waters flow. They're beautiful and calm. There's no beaver's dam in your water. There's no blocks, no squares, nothing. Just a beautiful open lake, continuously filled with the spirit of creativity and grace and wonderment and awe, spontaneity. And you're like a child. Childlike wonder fills you in every moment. So beautiful. And then we see this beautiful river of light coming from your highest chakra, making its way all the way down to the root chakra. And you see this beautiful lake, and it is calm and serene. It has a reddish glow to it. And just imagine now that you are walking by the seashore of this lake. The shore of this lake. It can be a sea if you want it to be, but it's a big body of water. And you're walking along the shore. And go ahead and put your feet in the water. Just feel the warmth of the water. It's not too cold, just a beautiful temperature. And as you look to the horizon, you see a beautiful rainbow of light, from red to orange, yellow to green, turquoise to indigo and violet. And you remember who you are. Now you remember who you are. You remember that you are what God made, what God created. You're full of life-giving everything God. And you're breathing in this gorgeous air that you feel all around you as you stand at this lake. And the air is fresh and crisp and clean. You're breathing it in, and you're celebrating that you are what God created. You're celebrating that you remember. I remember who I am. I remember who I am. And I know that the life-giving waters of spirit flow through me in every moment. And I am so grateful. My heart is filled with gratitude. Feel that. Feel the gratitude in your heart, because the Spirit is filling you in every moment with this beautiful love light that completely, totally dissolves all these silly beliefs and blocks that you've placed in your river of love, of light. But as you fill with this light, your mind, your throat, your heart, your solar plexus, your sacral chakra, your root chakra, and every cell of your being, as you fill with this light, where can darkness be? It's gone. The past is gone. There's nothing there but pure, gorgeous love. And so you're breathing in and breathing out, completely identified with your higher self. You have chosen the mind that you share with God. And because you've done that, you are guaranteed, without exception, to experience what is truly valuable. And only that. How blessed are you? And so it is as you stand in these beautiful waters. You can finish this meditation your way. And when I ring the bell, it will be time to come back. Welcome back, everybody. So I'm curious about how you ended your meditation. What did your ending look like? This is where we unmute and share. What did my ending look like? I want to share it with my brothers and sisters. Come on now, somebody. How did your meditation end for yourself? Lisa, do you have something to share? How did your meditation end? Maybe your sharing of the ending of your meditation will help somebody else. You know, a lot of us think that, oh, I'm going to do this work, I'm going to do the course, I'm going to study Dharma, I'm going to do whatever so that I can, get off the planet. And Jesus says, no, you do this work so you can serve. So you can serve the sonship. That's why we do the work. That's why we cleanse our minds and purify our hearts so we can serve. So I'm very curious. Open your throat chakra. This is huge, guys. I know if you are in alignment with God, with love, with peace, with joy, your throat chakra would be so open. You would be so excited to share because the spirit is flowing through you. And you don't have to make it up. You don't have to do anything. You just have to be authentically real and tell your story of the ending of your meditation. So come on, somebody needs to share the ending of their meditation. Anybody? I'll share the end of my meditation. I'm standing in that beautiful lake. The water is glistening, all the different colors of the rainbow. I see that rainbow on the horizon, and at the end of it, I see a pot of gold, and I'm in it. Isn't that a great way to end that meditation? Yes, I am the pot of gold. The gold is in me. So there you go. Okay, come on, somebody. Sue, you're there. You always have a nice open throat chakra. Get this party started.
You can unmute yourself, Sue.
Unmute yourself.
All righty, I'll take my hand down. Can you hear me?
Oh, hi. Thank you, Sue. I can hear you loud and clear. Yes. How did you end your meditation?
Well, I'll just be honest. I was resisting the meditation. I did through it, but by the end, I was standing in the water because I love the water, and it was just glistening with the sun, and was feeling the peace.
Okay, that's awesome. So do you know why you were resisting?
Because I was doing something before this.
I know, the $1 million question, right?
Can you hear me okay?
Oh yeah, really wonderful, loud and clear.
Okay, I think there's a little bit of a lag.
Yeah, there's a bit of a lag.
So anyways, I was doing something before you're coming on, and I was just kind of hung up that it wasn't perfect.
Oh, okay. Well, I love that you found your block. That's amazing. That's
Yeah, the
amazing.
video wasn't perfect,
Yeah.
so I was kind
And
of
when we-
feeling
The
it.
video
wasn't perfect, so I was kind of feeling it.
Okay, okay. Yeah, yeah. So you started like beating yourself up probably.
Oh, just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Just a little. Don't we all do that? The first go-to is I hate myself. That was dumb. Why did I say that? I could have said it better. Da 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 da. You know, I mean, on and on and on. So, but the good news is, you recognize it, and then you see that as a block in that river of love light, and then think about something that makes you feel good, and that dissolves all of that darkness. Think about the joy, and it dissolves all the judgments that you held. And that's what I loved about that story. So simple. It's like we don't have to mull over all this, past stuff. We just fill with light. And that light dissolves everything else. Yeah. But remember, the ego never wants you to know that you can choose again. It doesn't, it wants to keep you mindless. So it's going to come up with all kinds of ways to keep you in that pain, in that resistance, but you're aware of it. So yeah, thank you, Sue. Thank you. Anybody
welcome.
else?
You're
JC, where are you?
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Where'd JC go? How did you finish your meditation? Hi, JC. Can you unmute? Okay.
I cannot.
Oh,
Yeah,
hi.
I
Good to see you.
I doze off during the meditation. I doze off.
Oh, you dozed off.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
dozing off is another form of resistance. What?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Well, thank you for letting us know that. Did anybody else doze off?
Mm.
And it's so interesting because, like the story, Dr. Kenya in his story told us, it's really simple, but it's a commitment to want to stay awake. I want to stay awake, and we keep going unconscious. So maybe later you could put yourself back in that meditation and end it for yourself. What ending would you like to see for yourself? Yeah. Thanks, JC, for being honest. Love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else out there? Yeah, feel free. But anyway, so Lisa, are you going to say something? Yes.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Okay.
There you are. I can. Welcome.
Okay. I'm new to this Zoom stuff.
I'm new to this Zoom stuff.
But the meditation, I haven't been using my throat chakra
I haven't been using my
Like-
chakra
for quite a while. I maybe even having
quite a
problems,
while. I maybe hit
more
even
thyroid
having
problems and everything because I don't
thyroid
speak
problems
my
and
truth.
everything, 'cause
Oh.
I don't
Um,
speak my truth.
So the meditation, I got very emotional
Meditation, I got
when
very
you said,
emotional when you said,
to find yourself,
to find yourself,
to see yourself,
to see yourself,
find your true self again. So
find
mine
your true self
ended
again.
Yes.
So
being in
mine
the water
ended being in
and
the water
just remembering
and just
the young part of
remembering
myself and
the
splashing.
young
Like
part
I
of
just
myself and
splashed.
splashing. Like I just splashed.
And
Oh,
it was
I
just
love
all
that.
over. Like just
And
yeah, it was
all over.
beautiful, like rainbows
Yeah, it was
splashing.
beautiful.
Just to remember
Splashing.
the child in me,
Just
because
to
I
remember
don't
the child in me.
lately either.
Don't.
But yeah, it was an emotional
But yeah, it was an
meditation
emotional
for me.
meditation.
Especially when you hit the throat
Especially
chakra.
when you hit
yeah.
the throat chakra. Yeah.
Thank you.
I love that. Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
sharing. That's so powerful because, I love thinking back, as I know we all do, when we're children, right? And you're just busy being.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're just busy being without all of these judgments and I didn't do it right. I didn't. You're just being yourself and you're splashing in the water and you're enjoying that moment and there's no other thought but just having fun. And basically, that's what we're being told by so many teachers in Dharma, as well as the Course in Miracles, and all across the globe. And all, you know, any teacher that's serving the light is saying, "Get in your joy, get in your
Right.
joy," you know. And
Yeah, and I'm listening
yeah,
to
so
the
that's
ego
really
too
wonderful.
much.
I'm listening to the ego too much.
Yeah. Oh, the ego is relentless these days. I mean, it's
It
just
sure
on a
is.
mission to keep
It
you
sure is.
mindless, you know. And when it's trying to keep you mindless because it never wants you to wake up and know that you can choose love, that you can choose only the valuable. It doesn't want you to wake up to that. So it will entertain you with things that bother you. They'll bring up more of it in yourself, right? And so that's what's going on. Yeah. But the minute you say, I am going to join with the mind of God in me, then I am guaranteed an amazing experience. I'm going to join with the mind of God. And every experience I have will be so filled with value. And that's what's so beautiful. So, and let me just talk about the throat chakra for a few minutes. Thank you for bringing that up because the throat chakra is probably the last chakra before we get to that state of enlightenment, of complete and full awareness. So, you know, when the throat chakra is closed, what it really means is that yes, I'm not speaking my truth. I'm afraid to say what I really want to say and blah, 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 blah. But what it really means is that you're still down here in the solar plexus. Okay? The bottom three chakras are the chakras of consciousness that are based on separation from God, guilt, fear, seeking for punishment, right? And that's where we live. And to move through that, you have to open your heart. And so when you resist, the heart is not open. So it's hard to access the higher will. This is the will of the ego, and this is God's will. So when I purify my lower chakras, and I always love seeing Buddha on an altar with the flashing lights, you know, this is like, I have transcended my lower nature. I haven't modified my behavior. I have actually transcended the lower nature because I have made a conscious choice for love. I have made a conscious choice for only that which has value. And so because I'm conscious, that's transcendence. Okay, so we're still stuck in these bottom three chakras. And when you're in the solar plexus, you are in duality, where you can, you know, when we're in Egypt, Lisa, I hope one day you can come to Egypt because when you see it on the ground, it really puts it, you're like, what? Right? Your body is the whole Egypt along the Nile. All the temples are your chakras. So when we get to Kamambo, which is your solar plexus, you literally see two altars. One is to the dark force and one is to the light. And you're standing there as a person, as a woman who must choose. Because as it said in the Course, you must choose love, or by default, you will follow fear. It's a habit. Love is a conscious choice that I must make. So here in the solar plexus is your brain. This is your second brain. So your first brain is just a computer. It's like a hunk of meat that information comes in and then it gets assimilated through your consciousness, which are your chakras. So it ends up going to the solar plexus, and here you either use your will to get your way, where you want power over everyone, you want to dominate and control, or you choose love. And that's when you move up through the heart. You know, have you ever been in a situation where you completely feel, oh, you're so angry at something and you're so angry, but there's a part of you that says, Please help me. And you get that help and you move into the heart and you cry. The tears drop because you realized something. You've moved into your heart. The tears are the doorway to the heart, or that feeling of, like compassion that suddenly wells up in you. The heart bursts open and now you have power. Now you're speaking the word of God. You're able to speak truth. So most of humanity is caught in the consciousness of the lower three chakras. The bottom chakra, like I said in meditation, we have all been trained to be secure, not in joy. No one taught you to be joyous. They taught you to make money so you'll be secure. That's your root chakra. If you just go back and think about what your dad told you or your mom told you, it was all about security. And you got to do this in the world to, whatever, to be safe. No one said you are the embodiment of joy. And the only thing that has value in this world is being in a joyous state, to feel good. No one told you that. In fact, if you felt good, you almost felt guilty for feeling good because you had to be really serious about life. Right? And people that are lighthearted and, in the flow, they're in that river. There's no dams, there's no blocks. If you look at wonderful teachers that are profound teachers that have really done the work, you can see that they're in a state of joy. Sai Baba was always cute, and Swami Kaleshwar, they had this playfulness about them, this lightheartedness, because they knew the world wasn't real. They knew they were in it and they knew how to play the game. But we don't know how to play the game because we're identified with the world. So here's these, children that come in as these playful spirits. And then, of course, the program starts to get in and you begin to live in these bottom three chakras. And in fact, I'm glad I call this A Course in Miracles and More. Because now I want to tell you why you stay stuck in the lower three chakras. Okay, as the programming comes in from your parents and caregivers and teachers and religious leaders, you begin to close off the upper three chakras. Okay, so as a child, you're completely operating out of these bottom three chakras. When you first come in, all 7 are open. But as the programming takes hold of you, the upper chakras close and you are now living in these bottom three chakras. Fear, and then the sacral chakra is you lose your spontaneity, you lose your creative flow, and this is a chakra of money, the bottom two, and it becomes all about money. The only way I'm going to be secure and feel anchored and peaceful is money, 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 money. Like everything's about money, money, money. No one's saying, joy, happiness, peace. It's all money and it's all power. If I have power, if I can get your power to puff myself up, then I'm going to feel more powerful. And I just keep feeding the ego. And then the solar plexus is the will of the ego. And in the 12-step program, we hear it's the ego running riot in your life. And it really does. So there's where we live. And we get moments of little heart-opening, experiences. But to have complete transcendence is to move through the heart, purify the heart, get rid of the defects of character and the defilements of the mind, and you move into the throat chakra where you're saying only love is real, anything unreal doesn't exist, herein lies the peace of God. And so I'm showing up as a clear and perfect channel to show people, when you see me, you've seen the Father. That's what Jesus said. When you have seen me, you've seen the Father. Okay, by their fruits you shall know them. And so this chakra it's 5th dimension. By the time we get here, once we've transcended the lower nature, then you are speaking truth. You're speaking love-filled words, life-giving words. You're not entertaining darkness. You know the world is a dream and that you are the dreamer of the dream. You know that it's a separated mind that has projected the world of these, the world of consciousness. It came out of your mind and you're aware of that. And so you choose to think thoughts in alignment with God. And so now you speak it, you see it, you show up as it. And when the time is up, you lay your body down and you move on, unless you want to take your body with you, and that's possible too. But, you know, this throat chakra is big. And that's why at the New Year retreat, it was so wonderful, because so many of us, after being in, you know, through the pandemic and not being able to talk or just talk to your family members, it was so cute. Everybody had so much to say, and it was wonderful. The throat chakras were open. Everyone was sharing, and it was really, really nice to hear that. So again, if you can't open up, it's because you're in resistance. Thank you, Sue and JC. You've gone unconscious, and you've blocked that river. You know, the river of everything God is flowing through us in every moment. But just like the beaver that put the dam there, you've got a dam there, and it's a belief or it's an emotion, you know, and that block stops that river. The river's trying to go around it, but you've blocked it. So I think that's really amazing, Lisa, that that I'm talking about the throat chakra, and that you had that experience of being in the water and really sensing the joy and then feeling the emotion. That's like the heart is opening, and it's like, I want to be myself. I want to say, and I want to express everything and anything. Can you imagine if each of us were able to hold space for each other to express whatever it is we wanted to express? Like beautiful Kuan Yin, the mother of compassion, where if someone had to express something that might be a little, you don't necessarily want to hear it, you're so aligned with God, your mind is one with God, that you can hear it. You're not running away because they're saying it. You can, you know, maybe ask more questions and provoke some more thinking, or, you know, just be there. But for most of us, we're not. So I'm not receiving, and so I'm not speaking. And so now I'm blocked. I'm in the solar plexus. This is fire, guys. This is the element of fire. So it can burn somebody, you know, or you can show up and be the warmth. Because once you reach, you know, enlightenment, all it is that your consciousness is filled with love. Your consciousness is aware of itself as love. And so you're like a beautiful magnet of love light. And you're able to navigate the world from that stance rather than from fear. So this second brain here is, and all the nerve ganglia, by the way, you know, coming down from the chakra at the top of your head, at the stem, it's like a tree. So it's like branches of the tree going down, all the nerve ganglia of the chakras. And they govern all your organs and all your hormones and all of that stuff. And so when one of them goes out of whack, the body goes out of alignment. The body goes out of harmony. And for most, you hear a lot of people these days having IBS. They're having irritable bowel. Well, that is IBS, irritable bowel. They're having gut biome difficulties and all these different things, you know, things to do with the pancreas and the liver. This is all solar plexus stuff. So we're not assimilating the information coming in a right way. We take it in and we become angry, and then our throat chakras are shut. We haven't forgiven it, whatever we're holding on to, and then we think people are going to reject us. So we just stay quiet and silently suffer, right? Yeah, but we're tired of that. We're really tired of that. We want to be free beings, and we are free beings. So that's what that's about.
Sue asks, are we closing the chakras from 0 to 7?
Oh, thank you, Sue, for that question. Okay, so what happens is when you come into the planet as a baby, all 7 chakras are wide open. You're like this beautiful, vibrating spirit of love light. Woo! Like when you look at a baby, they're like this precious love light that comes to the planet. All their chakras are open. This is why little children see spirits. You know, little kids, they'll see like, wow, and mommy, look, and daddy, I talk to, right? Because all the dimensions are open. Okay. Now the root chakra is your 0 to 7. So that's the unconscious. So like a little sponge, you're taking in epigenetically everything that's going on in your environment, in your mother's womb, all of that. Remember the movie we watched with Gabor Mate in it and all that? Okay, so you're absorbing all that like a little sponge. That is why by the age of 7, people find this hard to believe, but it's true. By the age of 7, everything you needed to learn about life was already presented to you in your 0 to 7. Yep. And what happens is you keep repeating it, right? And so I'm only upset because I'm seeing what's in my unconscious that I don't know. Okay, so your sacral chakra then is your 7 to 14 because it's sexuality, it's your spontaneity, your creativity, your money. It has to do with, wow, you getting into the flow of life. Usually by that age, 14, it's puberty time. You start to like a boy, you like a girl, like little feelings. It's your emotion. And it's the age 7 to 14. And then when you get to the solar plexus, it's 14 to 21. And in that 7 years, you're learning about power. If you're a boy, you could be in a little gang, right, JC? 14-year-old guys, right? They're 16. Oh, so tough, right? That's the solar plexus being developed. It's like you're wielding your power and you're like, I'm big, I'm tough, like, back off. And, you want dominance. Your ego is being developed in a big way. The solar plexus is, the bottom 3 chakras, it's all ego, but the solar plexus is you're really putting your ego out there, like it's my way or the highway kind of thing. And that's where anger comes in and, bad moods and all the things that we do, it all shows up there. So, and by the way, for our beautiful astrology students, Saturn he visits you every 7 years. Saturn is the planet that brings discipline and says you need to take action here and this is what you have to clean up. These planets are working to help you evolve your soul. So at 0 to 7, Saturn peeks in. He's maturing you through time and space. Saturn comes when you're 7. And what do you do at 7? You're in school. You start school, grade 1, usually. Right? And it's like, in time and space, you are maturing. And then is sacral chakra, 7 to 14, Saturn pops in again and says, well, how are you doing? You just went through, all your schools, all your grades now, and you're going to be getting ready for high school because you're 14. Are you ready to evolve? Are you ready to mature? Are you ready to grow? So lots of lessons come, right? Puberty comes, you start to want to have your autonomy. You want to pull away from your mom and dad. You want to be your own person. Don't tell me what to do, all this and that. Saturn's visiting you. And then 14 to 21, you're becoming an ego, you're a personality, and, you might fall in love. Some people get married young and, you might meet that person of your dreams, or you might go away to university, but Saturn peeks in every 7 years. Saturn comes around to say, how are you doing? Have you matured since we last met 7 years ago? And then of course, when you get to that 28 to 30, when you have your first Saturn return, this is where Saturn says, you're going to enter your 3rd decade. It's time to really be the adult. So you become the adult usually in your 30s. You're a young adult in your 20s, but 28, that's why that 28 to 30, that first Saturn return is kind of difficult. You go through a lot, right? So getting to your question, so yeah, all these chakras, all right, are wide open. But as your lower chakras are programmed, so in that root chakra, epigenetically, you're being programmed like a sponge. It's ding, 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 ding. You're taking in everything. Environmentally, you're taking in everything. So you're being programmed over time. Well, then the bottom chakras relate to fear. By the time you're 21, you've been like totally programmed and you're living out of fear now. So what is that fear going to do for you? It's going to say, you better get a good job that pays good money. You're not going to be okay. It's not saying you are a child of God and the mind in you is one with God, and therefore every experience you have will be filled with joy and value. No, it's saying you better go to school, get a job, make sure you make money, have good investments on your money, blah, 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 because you're not going to amount to anything. No one's talking about joy, love, and peace. They're all talking about your security. So your bottom chakras then, you're living out of these bottom chakras and your top chakras close. Okay? By the time you're like 7 to 10, they start closing and they close right off. And by the time you're 21, like you're just operating out of fear. They start closing at the end of your, 0 to 7, 10, 12, 14. They start to close down more and more and more. They start to close down. Well, then what happens is you start to, you're tired of your life. Maybe you're like 30 and you're like, oh my God, this sucks. I don't like what's happening in my life. I don't have any money. I'm in a marriage that I don't like. This is not working. Nothing's working. You don't know what to do. So you get on a spiritual path. You meet somebody that turns you on to spirituality. So what you start to do, okay, these are closed. The heart is the pivotal point in the ladder of consciousness. Okay. Then what happens is you start doing things like glamorous things in the world of spirituality. So you start ringing gongs like, oh, right. And you start doing all the fancy things, lighting incense, making the room pretty, having a nice altar. And all these things are not bad or wrong, but you haven't looked at your lower nature. So it's like kind of pseudo spirituality, but it's cute. It's all part of it. I talk to people that are new on the path and they're like hippies, they're still walking barefoot in India with, beads on and, I'm spiritual, it looks that way from external, but the real undoing is going in and looking at your unconscious nature, at your programming, at your beliefs. What did your mother tell you about money? What did your father show you about, marriage and all of it? Health. What did you learn about health? And you have to start undoing an insane belief system that was taught to you by unconscious people. These people were not awake. If they were, they would have said, increase your joy factor. But they weren't. They were sleeping and they said, you better get more secure. This is a tough world. You need to be secure. They didn't tell you to have faith. They told you money will buy you out of anything. And so that's where we live. And so, but the heart, once you move through the heart and you say, okay, I'm done playing this game of glamour, spiritual glamour. I'm done playing the game of, seek and never find. I'm done with that. And I really want to, I have willingness to do what's necessary to undo a crazy thought system that was projected from an ego, trying to convince you that you're separated from God, which has never ever happened. But the fact that you believe it makes it true for you. And so as you move through the heart, I love Buddhism, purify the heart. Whatever you're carrying in your heart, you've got to purify. You've got to get rid of the defilements in your mind, the stinking thinking. You've got to face it. You have to face your fears. And if you notice that, oh my goodness, I don't even know how many years I had the Course in Miracles in my life, but over the years, just talking to different people who have been studying the Course, doing the Course, blah, blah, blah. The Course never talks about focusing on, woo-ha, hee-ha, la, 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 la. The Course's main focus is you need to get rid of the obstacles to your peace. So you have to look at your fear. You've got to look at it. You can't just say, Om, and I'm enlightened. You have to know, why am I resisting? What belief am I holding that would keep me in resistance? Thank you, Sue, for that. So we get to know, and that's not just Sue, that's for all of us. We get to know that, my resistance coming from, I think I did it wrong. And now I'm going to beat myself up. And we take it farther back And what is that? What's that coming from? What belief, core belief is that coming from? I'm not worthy. Or I'm not good enough. It always goes back to that one core belief, right? But just like the story says, if you fill your mind with love light and you say, and light is the spirit, it's the living waters, it's the spirit, it's this powerful impulse, it's always there flowing. But if I have a resistance, that's like a beaver dam in my river. And so if I just say, no, I give this resistance to this light to have it dispelled, I automatically will remember that I am one with my Father. I am one with my Creator, that my mind and God's mind are joined at all times. And I am guaranteed experiences of value, beautiful experiences, you see. So we have to do this. We have to remove the obstacles, the barriers to the presence of peace. And they're like the beaver dam in this river of love light, right? You put them there because you want it to be true. You want it to be true that you are not worthy. That's what the ego wants for you. It wants you to agree with it. I'm not worthy. And the ego goes, it's okay, I'll make it better for you. We'll find it something that makes you feel worthy in this world of no value. We'll look for something that will make you feel better about yourself so you can feel worthy. And on and on and on. Because remember, there's a line in the Course that, I don't know the words exactly, but it's saying that the ego always wants you to stay in confusion. It never wants you to know that you can choose again. If it can keep you mindless, confused, over here in the world of nothingness, then it wins. And there is a part of your mind that Jesus is always talking to that knows truth. And so Jesus is talking to that part of your mind that can choose again. So I have to then face this obstacle called, okay, I really believe that I'm not worthy. And give that to the light. And then, don't end with that. Think about all the things in your life that you did with God. And all that means is that you did that thing because your mind and God's mind were joined. And you were sharing from that place. And it was so effortless. And it was so wonderful. And at the end of it, you said, thank you, God, for coming through me and giving me the words to speak. Thank you so much. I love that my mind and your mind are one. And look back on your life at those moments where you were in the flow. You were in that sacral chakra. It was just flowing like water. You were spontaneous. It was effortless, right? And then say, you know what? I am worthy because I have come from worthiness so many times. I have come from that place of my mind and God's mind are joined because I am worthy. God created me out of worthiness. And so just look back on your life, Sue, and all of us at those times where, wow, you told yourself you're not worthy, and then maybe you counseled a person and they were so grateful. They jumped off the chair and gave you the biggest hug and said, thank you so much. Oh my God, you've changed my life. And you didn't even think for 1 minute in that moment of joy that you were not worthy. You just joined with that person in complete love and you're welcome. Oh my gosh, you're so welcome. And there was just this beautiful unity, this oneness. God is not two. God is one. And so there's lots of times you can think of where you shared from a place of pure love light. You were worthy, and the result was someone acknowledged you and loved you and said, wow. And even if they didn't, you felt good because you were in the flow. So, this is the inner work that's required. We just can't stop at reading the words. We have to look at how this shows up in my life, where I'm resisting, and then to, say, well, what would it look like if it wasn't resisting? How would my emotion be if I wasn't resisting? And this is the work. And like the story told us, if it's to be, it's up to me. I'm doing it all to myself. Our mind is so, so, so powerful. I'm doing it all to myself. I put the beaver there. Isn't that cute? And what I paint, I create. I put it there. And so I can remove it because my mind and God's mind are one. And the only suffering that I have is the belief that I am two, that God is somebody that I knocked off, that I killed. The ego says, oh, here's some good news for you. You separated from God. You get to be a separate self. You get to be who you think you would like to be. And don't worry, because you got rid of that punishing God. So there's some good news for you. He's nowhere. You're it. But somewhere deep inside, there's this fear that God's going to come after me and punish me. And the ego never tells you that. He kind of just says, you know, do your thing, be whatever you want to be, and don't worry, you knocked off God and da-da-da-da-da. But you know what the suffering will be in that? You'll have constant guilt. Always have guilt in the mind. Guilt that you've done something against God. So the ego's just like this talking head. But if you can have the conscious awareness to say, you're trying to tell me that I am not worthy, but here, I'm going to give you a whole list of all the moments when I was expressing my worthiness. So you might have tempted me here, but guess what? No, no, no. No, no, no. I'm not doing that. And Jesus always said, get thee behind me, Satan, which is the devil. Get thee hence. So we're getting better, we're getting stronger, but it is work, because you fall unconscious. And that root chakra, by the way, I mean, I love Vedic, the study of Vedic astrology, and also in the Bhagavad Gita and the different stories in the different religious texts, because they help me to understand from a linear perspective what Jesus is saying in the Course in Miracles. So we're told, and even Baba, he says, you have to look at time and space. You have to see it. It's not enough to talk these lofty words. Not that the Course in Miracles is lofty, it's truth. But when you are not at that level to understand it, we need practical examples. We need to know practically, well, what would that look like? How can I navigate through my life? If a teacher said, well, get over it, only love is real, it's all good. If I'm not at that level of understanding, that makes no sense to me, right? So this is why we don't want to get rid of religion, because they have so many wonderful truths that are helping us to undo an insane thought system, as Jesus says in the Course in Miracles. So, and that's why I wanted to add to my Course in Miracles, A Course in Miracles and More, because I have, there's people that join that are not at the level of understanding, or they have issues down here. We all do. And it's nice to bring in other readings and teachings. I love to use Sai Baba's stuff and everything. So I will always be adding something into the course. Today, I didn't think we'd be talking about chakras, but I love that we share. See what sharing does? What needs to be said gets to be said, because somebody expressed. So thank you. Yeah. Who's talking? Susan?
Yeah, am I off mute? Am I on?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Oh.
Yeah, can hear you.
Okay, no. Today's it's the 14th year. So with the ACIM, he went through God did not create me in this world. So I was kind of blending everything that you were saying. And it's interesting with Sue and Lisa talking about not being in the present. I too was vacillating between what you were saying and my own story. So it all came together at the end, standing in the water, and I was grateful for that. I mean, there's a point when you talked about moving from the sacrum up through to the heart. There's a memory of me just letting go of the wheel of my vehicle. I was in a desperate situation and said, take care of this. And I got through it. I don't know what triggered what you were saying, but that came up, and I'm grateful for that.
Oh, that's so good. Thank you, Susan. I love how whatever needs to come up comes up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just great. Yeah, it is. So
I wrote accepting the unfolding
how
of
did
God's
your
plan.
yeah, how did your meditation end?
That was part of it, that I came back into the state of mindfulness and being in the present, because I recognized that I was going in two different places, and I wanted to focus and stay with you, and it was just beautiful as I watched your picture unfold, and I brought it into my life in the moment. I'm grateful.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. That's awesome. Yes.
And JC had a question.
Yes.
He said, let me see, you say to have faith. Can you expand on that?
Well, you know, the thing is, faith is part of the God self that you are. You are automatically, we come in with faith. It's just part of your God essence. But faith is, like the faith that we have right now, is the faith in what's not going to work. We put all of our efforts into, oh my God, it's not going to come out the way I want it to, because we are not aligned with everything God. If you're aligned with everything God, then you have faith that everything God will flow through you and everything you need will come to you when you need it. Okay? So when you're over here, the faith that's in you is in the teacher that you're following, which is the ego. So now you put all of your, intense focus on, well, I hope I get this. I hope it's going to come out all right. I hope it did. And so you've got faith in the wrong thing. You have faith in the valueless. But when you get over here into alignment, you have faith in God. So I think the Bible says, what is that line? I probably won't get it right. I can't remember it. Faith in the unseen. Does anybody remember how that's worded? Blessed are those who have faith that cannot see. Blessed are those who have faith that cannot see. Faith is in me. Faith is God stuff. And if I am standing, if I say, like the slave driver, when he said, amazing grace, how great thou art. He just in that song, he had realigned and his faith was strong. So it's all about where you're standing. If I'm not standing in the love and light of God, then I've put all my faith in nothingness. Yeah. Does that make sense, JC? Okay, thanks. Good one. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? I love it when we share. It's so awesome. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go on and finish the lesson, which I left off at section 8. Section 8. Let me just find it. Okay. Your next consideration is the one on which the others rest. Why is the choice you make of value to you? And you can apply that to, why did I make the choice for resistance? What value did that have for me? It's so right? What attracts your mind to it? What attracts my mind to resistance? What purpose does it serve? And you know what it is? The ego wants to preserve at all costs your individuality, your separate self. It doesn't want you to ever be in alignment with love. That's the purpose that it serves. It's trying to preserve the separate I, your self-identity, the you that you think you are, the made-up self. It's trying to preserve that. The question seeking, or where is it? What attracts your mind to it? What purpose does it serve? The ego's underlying purpose is to preserve my individuality. So when I'm in resistance, I get to stay I'm right about what I think. I'm right about what I don't think. I'm right about this belief. I'm right. It's preserving the made up you. That doesn't even exist. Okay. Here is the easiest of all to be deceived. For what the ego wants, it fails to recognize. It does not even tell the truth as it perceives it, for it needs to keep the halo, which it uses to protect its goals from tarnish and from rust, that you may see how innocent it is. The ego always wants, it's always telling you, you are an innocent victim of everything in this world. So it's always trying to protect your innocence. I get to be me. I get to be right. If anybody knocks me over or discredits me, then that puts me in victim consciousness unknown to me, right? It's unconscious, but I come from a victim consciousness, and then the ego gets to perpetuate itself in all of that. That's the only thing that it's doing. It's trying to perpetuate itself by telling you nasty lies about you, by making stuff up about you that's not true. God said, let there be light, and you are that light. You are everything that God is. And the ego said, you don't need God. You can be a separate self. You can be autonomized by saying, I am Dehyana. I'm separate from you. What's important to me is important to me, and that's it. Go away, world. And over here in this bubble, I'm in a state of resistance. I'm in a state of I can't speak truth. I'm in a state of anger. I'm in a state of lack and scarcity. I'm in a state of feeling guilty all the time. And for reasons I don't even know what. It goes on and on and on. Okay, next page. Yet is its camouflage a thin veneer, which could deceive but those who are not content to be deceived. We can be so easily deceived by the ego. We can actually, when you get into the ego's domain and you start to fall for its, ideas of who you should be, and what you should do, and who you are, and what they are, all the judgments, you are completely deceived that you are the image and likeness of God. You have turned away. Remember, when you turn away from God, you are accepting the ego's thought system. And we said last week, you can't have a little bit of God stuff in the ego's world. And you can't have a little bit of the ego's world in the God's world. It's two separate worlds. Being united with God and being in separation never coexist. This is this and this is this. They never occupy the same space. And you're always choosing between the two. That's your solar plexus. I am choosing love, or I follow fear because I fell asleep and went unconscious. Its goals are obvious to anyone who cares to look for them. Here is the deception doubled. For the one who is deceived will not perceive that he has merely failed to gain. So you could gain everything God if you didn't deceive yourself by saying, I am better than God, I am better than her, I'm smarter than her, I'm da-da-da-da. You get it by now, right? He says he will believe that he has served the ego's hidden goals. Yet though he tries to keep its halo clear within his vision, still must he perceive its tarnished edges and its rusted core. His ineffectual mistakes appear as sins to him because he looks upon the tarnish as his own, the rust a sign of deep unworthiness within himself. And this is describing your guilt. That's what that unworthiness is, guilt. Guilt will, on the chakra line, guilt is in the bottom chakra. It's unconscious guilt. And so if you do something you perceive as being wrong, or you didn't say it right, you didn't show up in the right way or whatever, you feel guilty, you feel bad, it's unconscious guilt that keeps you in misery. Unconscious guilt are the judgments and condemnations that you hold about yourself and everybody else that you don't know that you really know. They're deep in the root chakra, and they can be coming from lifetimes. And remember, the way to create a new world, a new you, is to completely forgive your karma. Give it forth, give it up, release it. So if you feel resistance, if you feel angry, if you feel unsatisfied, it's all guilt. Guilt equals misery. And guilt is what keeps the world going as you know it. Unconscious guilt projected. What we're seeing in the world is unconscious guilt. And then we need a scapegoat for our guilt. And that scapegoat is called whatever it is you blame for not being happy. That's your scapegoat. Your wife, your daughter, your sister, your mother, your brother, your dog, your car, your something. The way you did it, the way you showed up, the way you said it, the way you didn't say it, da 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 da. This is unconscious guilt that keeps the world going, that keeps your insanity going. And Jesus says the rest is a deep unworthiness issue, which is unconscious guilt. Okay. He who would still preserve the ego's goals, and the ego's goal is to keep you mindless. Remember that. The ego does not want you to wake up and know that you can choose love. So it's trying to keep you mindless. So to preserve the ego's goals and serve them as his own makes no mistakes, according to the dictates of his guide. So who's your guide? The ego or spirit? Who are you listening to? This guidance teaches it is error to believe that sins are but mistakes, for who would suffer for his sins if this were so? I took this from chapter 23 because it kind of gives us, it ties together what we've just talked about. So from the chapter 23, it says, the arrogance on which the laws of chaos stand could not be more apparent than emerges here, which is the ego's battleground. This is the world of the ego, the insanity of a world of nothingness. Here is a principle that would define what the creator of reality must be, what he must think and what he must believe, and how he must respond, believing it. It is not seen as even necessary that he be asked about the truth of what has been established for his belief. His son can tell him this, and he must accept his son's belief in what he is and hate him for it. And this is your sin made real. Whatever mistake you made, when you make it real, that's what this is speaking to. The arrogance of the ego who says to you, you are, he's such a paradox because he tells you, oh, you're so wonderful because you get to win and you made that person lose. Good on you, right? He keeps you in this mindless state of confusion and telling you that sin is real. You're a guilty sinner and God's going to come and chase you down. And the Holy Spirit says sin is a lack of knowledge. It's a mistake. And what is the mistake? A mistaken identity. You think you're a body and full stop. The body with all your senses and your ego, and that's who you are. So if you make a mistake, you're a sinner and you deserve to be punished. That's why you have to clean up the guilt, because guilt will seek for punishment because it's made by the ego, and the ego always wants to win. It says, I'm right. God is wrong. It doesn't even know God. The ego only knows of its own thought system of self-hatred, right? So it's a lot of undoing when you think of it, all this unconscious guilt. And that's why you just, put on your big boy pants, your big boy shoes, and big girl pants, and say, show me my unconscious guilt, world. Universe, I am willing to see my unconscious guilt. Because only then can you heal it. You have to face the fear. It's unconscious. It's the source of your misery. Guilt is the source of your misery. And if you rewind the film all the way back to the beginning, the first display of that guilt was you believing that you separated from God. And every time you feel guilty, it's a reenactment of that first split, seeming split from God. Every time you feel bad about yourself, bam, you're right back at the tiny mad idea. Okay? And so we come to the criterion for choice that is the hardest to believe. You have a choice because its obviousness is overlaid with many levels of obscurity. And those are the levels, like, you've clouded your mind with all of these beliefs and thoughts that don't come from God. Only real thoughts are thoughts you think with God. Every other thought that is not real, which is kind and peaceful and gives you a sense of, all those other thoughts are unreal thoughts. So if you feel any guilt about your choice, you have allowed the ego's goals to come between the real alternatives. And thus you do not realize there are but two. And the alternative you think you chose seems fearful and too dangerous to be the nothingness it actually is. It's all about the guilt in the unconscious mind. Maybe this week you could make it, before we start, we have a chance to do another new year with the Lunar New Year upon us next week. Start again and say, it is my intention to welcome unconscious guilt into my space so that I can give it to spirit and learn to laugh at it. I mean, really, it's a big deal because then the universe will start bringing you, people, places, things, thoughts, judgments, they'll all start coming up. And then if you can stand with the Christ, join with the Christ mind and God, you can say, get thee hence, get thee hence. This is no longer my belief. I'm giving it up. I am what God created. How about that one? So we can all try that this week. Okay. And this is coming from chapter 14. And this is the Holy Spirit. She's so amazing. She says, I need a happy learner in whom my mission can be happily accomplished. You who are steadfastly devoted to misery, remember, guilt equals misery. So you who are steadfastly devoted to misery must first recognize that you are miserable. So you have to admit, your first admission, I am miserable and not happy, right? The Holy Spirit cannot teach without this contrast. For you believe that misery is happiness. Misery is of the world of nothingness. When you're seeking in this world, right? Oh, I'm looking for validation. I'm looking for acknowledgement. I'm looking for this. Look only in the mirror. If I'm not acknowledging myself as the infinite, eternal spark of everything God, don't expect anybody in this world of nothingness to acknowledge you. Not going to happen. A lot of people will say, I don't get any acknowledgement for what I do. Well, God's acknowledging you in every single moment. You just haven't taken the time to look in the mirror and say, thank you. Thank you for coming through me. Thank you for using my life. What else can I do for you today? Thank you for acknowledging me by showing me and giving me health and beauty and all these lessons and these wonderful things that I'm experiencing. Thank you. Thank you, God. You're not acknowledging God. It's like a two-way street. You can only have what you give. If I'm not acknowledging my Father, God's acknowledging you, but you can't hear it because you want to hear the voice in this world because you feel unworthy, you feel lack, and you need someone to show up and say, you're amazing. But when you start saying you're amazing, whether you hear it or not doesn't matter. Can you imagine if you had no attachment to your body, no attachment to anything? You're just showing up as this little spark of light and saying, use my life, God. How can I serve? And like I said in the meditation, we're not here to do the work to get off the planet. If you want to get off this planet, it's because you have guilt. You still have guilt in the unconscious, in the root chakra. That's why people say, oh, there's got to be a place better than here. Take me there. You still have guilt. And so you haven't forgiven your karma, so you're going to come back on this timeline of the 7 chakras and do it again and again and again until you say, use my life to serve you. How can I serve? You're not here to get off the planet. You're here to heal the mind so you can serve. Ooh, I like that. Okay, so Spirit says, this has so confused you that you do not realize the foundation on which this depends means absolutely nothing. Have faith in nothing. Have faith in nothing, JC, the nothingness world. And you will find the treasure that you seek. You will believe that nothing is of value and will value it. Isn't that interesting? A little piece of glass, a speck of dust, a body, or a war are all one to you. For if you value one thing made of nothing, like a judgment, it's made of nothing. When you say I'm not worthy, you made it out of nothingness. It's not a real thing because it was made by the ego. Only what God creates is real. God didn't say I'm creating you, out of unworthiness. God said, I'm creating you out of love, and love is everything. Right? So a little piece of glass and all this stuff, if you value one thing that's made of nothing, condemnations, judgments, all this stuff, you have believed that nothing can be precious. What's the payoff for feeling unworthiness? You get to stay in the ego's domain and the ego's winning, saying, see, the good news is you pulled off leaving God. But I didn't tell you the bad news. You're going to be full of guilt. The ego never tells you you're going to feel guilt and miserable. It forgot to tell you that. It only told you that you got rid of a tyrannical God, you got rid of a punishing God, and now you get to be autonomous, but it didn't tell you that you're going to be filled with guilt and misery. Okay? So you have believed that nothing can be precious and that you can learn how to make the untrue true. You can never make the untrue true. This world of nothingness is exactly that. It's nothing. It'll never be true. Only truth is true. Nothing else is true. Okay? All things are valuable or valueless. Worthy of being sought at all, worthy or not of being sought at all, entirely desirable or not worth the slightest effort to obtain. And that's another question. What do I desire? You manifest according to your desires. If I desire to be one with God and to show up as God created me, the universe conspires to help me do that. If I desire to be autonomous and like the special self, well, I'm going to get the result of that too. Okay. Choosing is easy just because of this. Complexity is nothing but a screen of smoke. So the ego is just a screen of smoke. That complexity is of the ego. It is a blow through it, it's gone. Which hides the very simple fact that no decision can be difficult. What is the gain to you in learning this? It is far more than merely letting you make choices easily and without pain. Because the real goal is our return to heaven. That's the real goal. There's no other goal but to return to everything God, to heaven. Heaven itself, yes.
Lisa has a question.
Hi, Lisa.
She says, if we are afraid of being judged, is it coming out of our own consciousness and guilt?
Yes, thank you, Lisa. So think of your consciousness, okay? It holds everything. Everything like fear, anger, rage, unworthiness, everything is in your consciousness, and then it gets projected out and the world mirrors it back. The only thing you ever see is what you're holding in your consciousness. And that's why, that story I told you in the beginning, the master said it's hard to believe that. But believe it you must. Your consciousness from the crown, super consciousness, all the way down to unconscious. These are levels of consciousness. You're holding all your beliefs, thoughts, everything, right, in this consciousness. And in order to heal it, you have to first see it projected. So when you see it projected, you do one of two things. You attack it, attack the person who's mirroring back to you what first came from you. You attack them. Or you say, thank you for showing me what's unconscious. I didn't know that I was the one who's unworthy. It's me, and I'm going to give it forth. I'm going to forgive it because I had a mistaken identity. I thought I was a body and all this consciousness. I thought it was all that, right? But I had to see it to heal it. Yeah, great question. Thank you. Okay. What is the gain to you in learning this? It is far more merely letting you make choices easily and without pain, because our real goal is heaven. Heaven itself is reached with empty hands and open minds, which come with nothing. I'm going to go bare butt naked back to the world of heaven. No thoughts, no beliefs, no nothing. I know nothing. An empty mind, as we say in Buddhism, an empty mind, a beginner's mind. It's so wonderful. So I go with empty hands and open minds, which come with nothing, to find everything and claim it as my own. We will attempt to reach the state today. Oh, yes, with self-deception laid aside. You have been telling yourself you're unworthy. You have been telling yourself you're a bad person. Whatever you've been telling yourself, you have been deceiving yourself. And Jesus says we're laying all that aside. And with an honest willingness to value, but the truly valuable and the real. God made you out of himself. Minds are joined. The mind of God in you, the Christ mind in you, is joined with God at all times. And we're going to reach that state today. Our 2 extended practice periods of 15 minutes each begin with this. I will not value what is valueless, and only what has value do I seek. I want kindness and peace and joy, happiness, all the good things. That's what I'm going to seek for. Only that do I desire. What is your desire? Do you desire peace? And then receive what waits for everyone who reaches unencumbered to the gate of heaven, which swings open as he comes. Should you begin to let yourself collect some needless burdens or believe you see some difficult decisions facing you, be quick to answer with this simple thought. I will not value what is valueless, for what is valuable belongs to me. And that is so beautiful. And then lastly, Jesus says, and I didn't write where this was from. I know it was in the early part of the book. He says, you have no idea of the tremendous release and deep peace that comes from meeting yourself and your brothers totally without judgment. How wonderful is that? No judgment at all would be such freedom. So there it is. We completed lesson 133. And but I want to share something with you all because I just think it's so cute. You know how I always say, and we're always told by all the religious leaders, that the Holy Spirit or the universe is always trying to wake you up, and it will use whatever it can in this world to help you awaken or remember or understand something more clearly. So a book can fall off the shelf. You can have a license plate in front of you and you're like, what? That's exactly what do you ever have that? And you're thinking, I remember one time, like 25 years ago when I was going to go to Egypt, I thought, I feel like I'm going to go to Egypt. I had never been to the what is that mall in Sunway Pyramid? JC, I had never been to KL to see that. And I'm going to KL and I had a driver. I was driving past the Sunway with the Sphinx and the pyramid. And I thought there were so many signs. And I just was so shocked. I had no idea that mall existed. And that was in my mind. I feel I'm going to Egypt. Yep, I'm going to Egypt. And then everything was showing up Egypt, that kind of thing. Okay, so I want to share with you this. So my late husband, beautiful Dr. Aaron Lim, he passed away 8 years ago, like now, within the next day or two. We're celebrating his 8th year of remembering his light. And so when he first passed, which was 2015, in December, now his birthday is December 18th. Okay, so on December the 1st, I am just, and I've shared this with you guys before in person, I think, JC, but I was busy upstairs and my dogs were barking up a storm and it was a weird bark. And I thought, oh, something's up. So at that time we had Lucky and Pepsi, our two other jungle dogs. I ran downstairs only to see a massive monkey in my backyard. Okay, there it is. On the wire. Okay. Now, what was really auspicious about this is it was the year of the monkey. Aaron is a monkey. I am a monkey. Jamie is a monkey. And here comes this monkey. And this thing, he stayed on this wire. And right outside my kitchen window is a beautiful hibiscus tree. Now, you all know Aaron was a horticulturist. He loved to grow things. And if I said, oh, I love that tree, he would go and buy it and plant it. He was just always so pleasing. And so he would say to me in the morning, wow, look, honey, there's so many hibiscus flowers on your tree. This monkey went over to that tree and it plucked off a flower and put it in its mouth. Okay, so, I'm thinking, all right. And then it played around for a bit and then it left. And it climbed down a pole, there it is, and it stared at me, like right in my face. And I thought, well, who are you? And you're pretty big, like you're a big alpha male. And then it jumped down, and you know what? It didn't, I don't know where it went. It was like poofed into thin air. It just was gone. And I got, and I was, at that time, I was in a lot of communication with Aaron on the other side. Lately, a little bit more, but over the years, come and go. But in the beginning, a lot. And what I got from his message was, be playful, be joyous, all is well. I don't need prayers. I don't need anything. I'm in a good place. I want you to be in a good place. Be happy. It was, and monkeys are playful. And they're silly. They, I always have to say this. I remember years ago, Yvette said something so funny to me. She said, oh my gosh, you're always swinging from limb to limb, and now you're married to one. Aaron limb, like that was so cute. And monkeys do that. They, they jump from limb to limb. So last Sunday, I was upstairs having a little nap. And Jamie and Jackie were downstairs and they were getting dinner ready. And they came upstairs after, and Jamie had a video on her phone to show me. And here's the video. So there's Jojo, Jamie's dog. Here's the huge tree in the backyard. And there's the monkey up there. There he is. He jumps down. And before he did, he pulled out my internet cable from my office/sewing room. He pulled the cable out. You can see the cable hanging down.
Oh, it's over there.
It's over to the, he yanked the cable out of the out of the office.
Yeah, see it on the left there.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to see.
Yeah, so he pulled that out first, and then here he comes. Okay, he's coming down. And then he looked and dove. And that was the end of the monkey. And Jojo was trying to figure out where it went. Because it completely vanished, like again. And, I've lived in this neighborhood almost 25 years, and I asked my neighbors, have you ever seen a monkey? Not one neighbor has ever seen a monkey in my neighborhood. It's so weird. So, can you see him? There. Slow-mo. Bye-bye. He dives. There he goes. Yep. Like a flying monkey. So anyway, Aaron's, 8-year anniversary is now, and he sent, I believe, the Spirit uses everything in time and space to bring us a message. And here it is again, 8 years later, that another message is coming. So I leave you with this. I don't know what the message is. It's like, I'm trying to figure it out. And I don't want to move into trying to figure it out because that's not spontaneous, right? So I'm open to any ideas that come into your mind about the monkey returning. And I can leave you with that, unless you want to spend a few minutes and give me something, because it's 12 o'clock, I'm fine, but I know some of you need to go. But if anyone wants to say anything, please unmute and let us know.
Or raise your hand.
Or raise your
hand, I'll unmute you.
Yeah, raise your hand and Jamie will unmute you if something comes into your mind about this. Did anything? Oh, JC, thank you.
No, then earlier you were saying because we were taught to be secure, because we were not to be joyful.
Yes.
I think the message is to be joyful, to be playful as well. Because
Ooh,
I mean,
again, just stay joyful.
Because, we are also concerned with the economy. We are also concerned to be secure, you know. So in my
Okay.
work, everything I do it in my work. That is an area of main focus.
Okay, I love that message. So he brings that message twice, 8 years ago and again. Thanks, JC. Okay, anybody else?
Mark says,
Hi, Mark.
to be playful and enjoy nature.
Okay, playful and enjoy nature. I like it.
Lisa says he's trying to tell you to stop the Zoom online course in miracles and come to Windsor again in person. I miss you.
I miss you guys so much. Honest to goodness. I know. I would love to come. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Okay. One of my dear friends, when I showed her the video, she said, well, I think it means pull the plug. It's over. Because the monkey pulled the internet cable out of my Be Joyful, Life is Short. Yes, Lindai, this is so beautiful. Yes, the playful monkey. Yeah, beautiful message. So, Susan, maybe disconnecting the cable is to disconnect and be cable. Ooh, be playful. Ooh, I like that one. That's a good one, Susan. Woo, that's a good one. Like that one. Disconnect and be playful. Yes, right on. So, alrighty. Well, it's 12 noon, and thank you so much for tuning in. It's always so wonderful. We will continue to share. I think this is so amazing to do this. And remember, it's A Course in Miracles and more, because we will be adding lots of different things as we go along, but always using the foundation of the course for the teaching. Soul Astrology Friday night. Thank you, Michael. Love you too. And don't forget, if you want a chart with Lilith, because we will be discussing all of that, contact Jamie. She's charging $10 or 30 ringgit to get that all together for you. So just let us know. But Friday night, we'll be back for that. So in the meantime, have a super fabulous week. And hi, Charles, you're most welcome. And just know that I love you so much, and I'm sending millions of hugs and kisses to you all. Bye for now.